Welcome to Rising Above It. I'm your host, Nancy Seagal. Today's topic is triumph over torture, and we have a return guest, Mohammed Mohabbat, who has been here before to share his experience with overcoming adversity and how he became a political refugee, as well as an author, photographer, musician, and also a leader of the Central Coast Islamic Center of Santa Maria. Welcome, Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you calling me back, and I thank you for the wonderful job you're doing for the community and to inform people in the public. I honor you. I appreciate you. It's my honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Tell us a little about your background.
Well, I'm originally from Afghanistan, where all this turmoil is there right now, and I was born there. And then as I grew up a little bit in 1963, when I was barely 16, I was chosen by my government to come here to the United States as an exchange student and lived with a family for a year, went to school here where I had no knowledge of English or what America was like. And eventually I learned English. I fell in love with this country. And I went back home and educated my people about America, how wonderful place this is. So it's just brief, and then it went on from there, and you can read that in my book.
And you've written a book, My Name is Mohammed.
Yes.
And you can, this is an excellent story of your life, and it's a page turner. You made me laugh and you made me cry, and
thank you.
Was very interesting to get a feel for what Afghanistan was like back in the 60s, as well as before the communists came in, and then afterwards what you had to endure to escape. And then rebuilding your life here in the United States. So what inspired you to write the book?
Well, like I said, I have a very unique and different story. It is more like a movie or a fiction than reality. And wherever I was talking and speaking and discussing this with people, everybody said, this is very powerful, this is amazing, you should write a book about this. This is going to be a bestseller, it's awesome. And also I wanted to educate the public. I want to share my story. I wanted to inspire especially our young generation about the values of freedom, about the values of education, and how to live together in peace. I am a bridge builder, not a wall builder, so I want to bring the people of the world closer together to live in peace and humanity and appreciate each other.
Okay. And what was your first introduction to the U.S.?
When, like I said, I was barely 16, and I came to America as an exchange student. I had no clue what America was like, because at that time the world was not so small like it is now. There was no internet, there was no satellite, there was nothing, there was no instant news and things like that. So I had no idea what I was going to see here and what kind of things I will endure. I was completely alien over here, and I was blown away by all the civilization and things that were here, all the amenities that people had here, and the way the family that I lived with, who was really a hardcore Christians, and white family, and I was really devoted Muslim myself from the other side of the world. How beautifully we bonded together, how peacefully we lived together, how I became a member of the family, and how they really became like my natural parents to me. That was amazing.
So you learned about the Christian religion, and they learned about your Muslim religion. So, and you cohabitated just fine.
I was there for a whole year. It was not only the family that I lived with, but also my school, my teachers, the students. They accepted me, they loved me. Everybody pitched in to help me to feel comfortable there. The whole community. I was the only foreigner in that town at that time. So eventually I became a celebrity. I was in the newspapers, I was on local TV stations, I was being interviewed. Once I learned English, I became a typical American teenager and having fun and dancing to Beatles songs and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So, what was your perception before you came to the U.S.? What was it like, and how did it change afterwards?
Yeah, that's a good question, Nancy. Before I came to America, like I said, I had not seen much of or heard about America. I thought America, I had seen maybe a movie or two about the Western movies that they were making at that time. I thought America was mostly like cowboys and Indians and shooting each other and everybody drinking and this and that. But when I came here, it was completely different, you know, very civilized, beautiful people, peace-loving people, and really it tells about how we actually, in our own mind, develop or create a picture of a country or a religion or people or race, and then we find out how wrong we were when we really meet them in person, visit them, and talk to them. All that ignorance goes away, and that's why I'm speaking and giving speaking engagements.
Okay. Where did you live in the U.S. when you came here?
I lived actually in heartland of America, in the Bible Belt in middle of Kansas, called Great Bend. It was a small town there, and that was where I got introduced to America and lived there and went to high school and graduated from high school there.
So during your stay, what did you learn, and how has it affected your future in relation to overcoming adversity?
What I learned was, like, you know, no matter how we look like, who we are, you know, what gender, what race, what culture, what thing, once we peel these little shells, in the core, there always is beautiful humanity. We're all human. And we can get along together. We can love each other. We created such a beautiful bond that when I was leaving at the end of my school year, the family and my friends, they were hugging me and crying and bawling. I was doing the same thing. I had a bittersweet time just going back home because I was leaving my heart here. I was excited to go back to my people, to my own family, but part of my heart was here with these people, with this family, and it was really a
which you came to in the future after you had been through a lot of ordeals, eventually coming back to the U.S. and they helped you again. The community
Correct.
came out and supported you. We'll get into that a little bit further. What kind of impact did it have on you?
What happened was actually
during your visit?
Yeah, when I came here and then I went back home, and at that time, very, very, very few people had been to America from my country. I mean, we didn't even know anybody who had been here. So when I went back home, I was, you know, being interviewed by different communities and people and everything to tell them about America, to educate them. That was the whole reason, the purpose that I came here, to educate my American people about Afghanistan, and when I went back there to tell them what was going on over here. And I fell in love with America, and I spoke up in favor of America. And when we were going to school and university, you know, the Russians, at that time Soviet Union, they were trying to convert our youngsters into communists to just make Afghanistan part of their union, and they were blaming America for all the trouble in the world, and they were thinking, you know, America was bloodsucker, imperialist, they want to take over the world, and they said, we were your friends, we'll do this, we'll help you, and that, and which I knew they were lying. And I had been in America, I had seen what a peaceful, wonderful country this is, so I spoke up. I would take the podium. I will give speeches and tell them that do not listen to these people. I have been in America. I have lived there for a whole year. I lived inside a family there, not even as a tourist or a visitor. These people are just loving, peaceful, wonderful, these Christians. And I went to church every weekend with them. I know how they worship. I know what they believe. I know how they are. You know, they accepted me beautifully. They're not after us. It's the communists that they want to take over here. And they would believe what I said because I had been here and I was speaking from. And that's when the Russians came over and took over the country, and they knew who to go after and who to.
And you were targeted.
I was targeted because I was anti-communist and I was pro-American, and I went through hell, through all the tortures and all the beatings and everything I was taking for like American spy. But I never gave up. I said, no matter if you kill me, if you do anything to me, I cannot say bad things about America. I don't know about politics and government, stuff like that. I'm speaking about my own experience with the American public.
So when you were captured and you were, in the book you describe what it was like to be tortured and to what you went through and to watch some people that you knew be executed right in front of your eyes. What did that feel like?
It's hard to describe that with words, Nancy. It's very, very difficult. But then, you know, after so much that you go through, you eventually get yourself prepared psychologically for execution, because I was supposed to be executed too. At that time, I was wondering, you know, how would it feel when I'm dying? What is the death experience? There was no thing about survival, but you know, when I die, you know, I see people die, you know, all this going through, is it going to be painful? Is it going to be hard? When you start breathing, you're gasping for air, you're doing this and you're doing. Then eventually I calmed down. I said, that's it. I spoke up. I stood up for America. I stood up for Christians. I stood up for white people. I knew what I was doing. This was my duty as a Muslim to speak the truth, to stand up, and I did it, and I'm proud to be giving my life because this is my duty. So after that, I was not afraid of death.
Okay. And do you have any regrets not being, like going through that and not being an American and still sticking up and having to go through that experience and all the other experiences that followed because of what had transpired?
And Nancy, that's a very profound and good question. To be honest with you, no, I do not have regrets. I would do it all over again because that's my nature. That is my duty as a Muslim, as an Afghan, to stand up for truth, for facts. I could not ignore that because when the communists were insulting Americans, I felt like they were attacking my people, my host family, and my family, and there was nobody else to defend America. You're right, I was not American citizen. I was not a Christian. I was not white. I had nothing in common on surface with America at that time. I did not have to do that.
But you had the experience of being here and living here.
But then when you go deeper into that, I have that strong bond with America at that time, and now still I'm doing this. Even when I'm doing all these speaking engagements after the 9/11, I get a lot of hate and threats and everything from people who are not aware about Muslims and Islam and the other side of the world. And it may cost me, but this is my duty now again to stand up what's right and what's truth about the other side.
Okay. So what do you think of the current events that are happening throughout the world right now?
Yeah, that's a very sad thing. It breaks my heart. I'm really, really saddened. And I believe it comes from ignorance. I believe that ignorance is the mother of all evil.